What's the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Walton, joined by Sergeant Walton. Ken, how are you?
I'm good.
Now, I'm not advocating for this. However, a couple of days ago, I was having a day where it was just like super overwhelming. There's been a lot that I've been dealing with. And I remember that night telling you, well, actually, I think I told you the following day because you were at work. Like, it's fine now because I had some retail therapy.
It's definitely something that I know, like, we have those different outlets. We have those different, if we're, holding on to something or we're, upset about whatever it may be, and having retail therapy, or just like for us, we enjoy going to Vegas together and having stuff like that to look forward to and go do. It's great to have those avenues.
Yeah. And it was nothing crazy. I probably do that like once or twice a year or so. I think I spent like $100 on some nail polish that I've had in my shopping cart on Ulta for a really long time. And it got me thinking about how a lot of the times I'll see people in the first responder community who actually have a gear addiction, and they don't realize that their tactical shopping has actually become an element of emotional retail therapy.
Yeah, definitely. And not only on the tactical gear, but also like large purchases like trailers or boats, and just these frivolous purchases that, like, you think it's making you feel better in some instances, and it does, but at the same time, you want to be able to plan. You don't want to set yourself up for failure by taking on too much.
I remember a few months back, somebody said, well, you have a lot of money. And in my head response was like, yeah, that's because I'm so frugal with the way that I spend money. And as you listen to this, like, just some examples of this are like, we don't buy potty pads until Black Friday comes around because we know that that's when the good sales are going to happen, and we buy the entire year's worth of potty pads, sometimes more, during that time.
Yeah, it's being able to set ourselves up. Like, we like to plan ahead. Like, if toilet paper is on sale at Costco, we'll buy a few packs and then we're good for the year. Or same with paper towels, stuff like that. It's good to plan ahead for, because inevitably those are the purchases that we're going to have to make. And it's great that we can save some money while we're doing it.
Yeah, and when it comes to people that make tactical purchases, I think there are two kinds. There are the kind that are like you, where like you'll wait until things start to appear like they're not going to be properly presented to the public eye before you replace them. And then there are those that just basically they turn their tactical gear into a sort of collection.
Yeah, it's funny because like I was thinking of my boots last night. One of my officers asked me, he goes, well, are those these specific brands of boots? And I go, no, they're just the cheap $35 ones. And he's like, oh, I couldn't work with that. And I go, well, no, I do, because it's all about the insoles that you put in with them, because your boots only last about a year anyway. So why spend $150 on a pair of boots that are only going to last you a year when I can spend $35 and put better insoles in them?
Yeah, and that it's so funny because remember last year sometime on Walmart, they had insoles that were usually like $19 a pack. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Clint, like, will these work for you? Because they were like $1.94 a pack. So I think we bought like 20 of them.
Yeah, I have a nice supply of insoles for a really long time now. And it's one of those things, like, we find, like, in a way that's retail therapy for us, because we find a good deal and we feel good about making that purchase, because it's something inevitably we're going to have to purchase anyways, because I need them for my boots. It just makes my feet more comfortable.
You're right. Like the element of retail therapy for me is like finding that deal or getting the cash back, whether it's on a rewards credit card or different apps that we can purchase through and then get cash back. We do the same thing when we travel, with our Chase travel card, and that kind of thing excites me. But for a lot of people, they might not know that their gear buying could be this element of emotional retail therapy. And one way that you might know that it is if you shop for gear right after a really tough call, or if you've had really emotional days. And it could be that you just scroll online for new gear after a bad shift out of habit. And eventually this could create this emotional loop to where your brain starts to learn that like bad day equals do this activity.
Yeah, because if like and I know it's one of those things, like I can think of a few incidents where after whatever that major incident was, like I need to get this piece of equipment, and it's not because you're adding to your tactical supply, it's because it's actually an item that you need to perform your duties. But then there's the difference of, oh, well, I could use a few more magazines, or I could use an extra pouch and for my vest. And it's having those little intricacies that you don't necessarily need. It could make your life easier, or you don't like something about the one you have, or you'll find reasons to not like certain equipment on your vest, on your belt, whatever it may be, and make those changes in those purchases in a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that, because that's another element to this, is when you justify your purchase as something like, oh, well, it's for the job, even when it's really not, because you already own 5 of the same tool, but you still feel that urge to upgrade or to get more of them. It can kind of blur the line between need and your emotional want, especially in that moment. And sometimes you might even feel this temporary high when you're buying, and then later on, the guilt might set in. That excitement fades really quickly, and it's leaving you in this regret, or for a lot of people, it leaves them in financial stress even.
And it's actually really funny, to go on the end of like how I am with the tactical equipment. Like, I found an extra magazine pouch in my locker, and I don't know where it came from. And I'm like, why do I have this extra magazine pouch? I'm like, well, that was a waste. I don't think I bought it, but it's one of those things. It's over time, you start accumulating all this extra equipment, all this extra stuff, and you end up just giving it away to your fellow partners or donating it, or you just hoard it sitting somewhere in a garage. And that's where, like, for me, we don't like clutter in our house, and I end up throwing that stuff away.
Yeah, and sometimes too, I've seen people that link their gear to their identity or to their status. So a lot of people feel a little bit more legit or a little bit more respected when they have things that they can show off that are new. There are a lot of ways to alleviate this, though, if you find that you're in this perpetual loop. And something that I do, I made mention at the beginning that I had some nail polishes sitting in my cart in Ulta. Literally for months, they've been sitting there because I'm like back and forth. Like, do I really want to pay $15 each for 4 amazing nail polishes? And after getting them and painting my nails with them, the answer is absolutely yes. But something that I like to do is to let things chill in the shopping cart. And come back to it later and then see if you really do want that thing.
Well, and not only that, you can actually save money by doing that, because sometimes you'll get those coupon emails saying you could save 20% on your order now.
It's so funny because that happened. So during that same purchase, I bought a $53 bronzer. And then I'm like, man, this color is not for me at all. And then I'm too I don't really feel like returning it. But then a couple days later, it went on sale for $23 cheaper. And then I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm going to buy this one and then return the one that I didn't like.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole marketing aspect that these companies use, it's, use it to your favor, definitely. Because 1, you can save some money, but 2, it's sit on it sometimes, because sometimes it's the difference of a need versus a want. And I think it's defining that is super important.
Yeah, and I think too, finding other forms of relief that are not transactional, like working out, journaling, breath work, there's tons of things that you could do in order to be able to kind of fill that void in the moment, could be super important. And I know a lot of people like to set a budget when it comes to their gear. The most important thing, though, is to make sure that you're sticking to that.
Yeah, having that budget is very important, because if you don't check yourself, you could just, the amount of...
Wreck yourself?
The amount of stuff that you could buy is just endless, and changing, I remember because I see waves of different pieces of equipment coming through, my patrol guys all the time, to where straight edge knives or sheaths for those knives, or storing certain holsters on your belt, and you start seeing that it's almost a fad that goes through, and then it kind of slowly trickles away. And it's one of those things, you don't want to get caught up in that fad just to be part of the cool kids for no reason.
I also think it's important to refocus on the purpose over your possessions, because the truth is that gear doesn't make you a better first responder.
No. And that's something that I think it's a perception. Oh, it's going to give me more confidence, or I like how this looks. It's going to make me present myself different. When if you really look at it, it's not the equipment that you have, it's how you manage yourself and how you manage the public.
The only pushback that I would have to that is that if there is any tool that you need that is going to make your job safer, truly safer, we had this discussion. I don't care if it's $1,000 or $50,000 or $100,000. Like, those are the investments that actually make sense. And we've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below. And as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.